Hi guys, Braden from Marques Flooring. Welcome to episode 8 of Third Thursday Training. This episode we're going to be going over dustless sanding and using the Flexisand. We're going to go over using the edger with the dustless system. So we've got the guys here from Bona. We've got Adrian, he's the technical manager for Australia, and then we've got Peter, who's the national sales manager. So I'll hand over to the guys from Bona and they'll take us through it.
Thanks, Braden. Yes, we are here today to talk about a couple of really great pieces of equipment from the Bona range. One is the Powerdrive, the other is the dust containment system, the Bona DCS 70. First up though, we're going to talk about the Bona Powerdrive 1.9 kilowatt machine. A very flexible tool. In fact, as it comes, it's actually the Bona Flexisand with a Powerdrive attachment. There are a number of attachments that can be fitted to this machine, including concrete grinding attachment, wire brush, and systems like the Quattro base, which is just a 4-head, no gear system for other applications. Perhaps even if you were considering sanding a pre-finished floor for overcoating, the Powerdrive would probably be a bit too powerful in that situation. So we're talking about a machine here that is 50 kilograms in weight. At the front here we have two 7-kilo extra weights. Those weights make the machine obviously 64 kilograms. Let's have a look underneath it. We talk about all the items on the machine, including this skirt, which offers excellent connection to the floor when working with the dust extractor. We have a cog ring here as part of the gear system, and these all are cog driven. So we have a gear driven system which is offering direct power to the floor. Obviously we don't have a dust extraction system stuck to the machine, so there's no vacuum system that comes with it, and that's by design. Obviously what we have is a situation where there is a lot of dust that's being generated by the machine that needs something a bit more powerful than a typical backpack to clear the dust. Here is the 4 discs, obviously with the gear system beneath the ring. That is an intermediate pad, so that also fits onto your 150mm disc. And what we have here is the Bona 50 grit ceramic abrasive, which is not quite the most aggressive disc we have. We actually have 36 grit abrasives as well to fit the Powerdrive, which is putting you in a position where once you've belt sanded the floor just once with, say, 40 grit cross grain or grain up, you can get onto the floor with either the 50 grit ceramics or moving straight forward onto 60 or 80 grit zirconium oxide discs. The other benefit here too is in situations where you can't get the belt sander in the area comfortably, where you're going to put a lot of sanding marks by cross sanding the floor. This is a situation, for instance, within hallways, bathrooms, galley kitchens, where you can just operate with either 36 or 50 grit ceramic discs to prepare the floor for the next lot of sanding. So let's get the machine moving. Operationally, it's quite safe. I can squeeze the handles, it won't work. In fact, I can prepare it to go and it won't go, which is a safety switch system. For it to operate, the handle only needs to be off centre. Unlike your typical rotary sanders, where a lot of contractors work with it down here and lean on the machine, you'll notice in a moment that we don't operate it the same way. We're not going to be swinging it left to right, up and down. We're going to walk behind it, just like we would a belt sander.
Before we start to use the Powerdrive Flexisand combination, I'd just like to show you the DCS 70. I'm going to actually take this to pieces because I think it's important that you understand how this thing is put together. So, first off, we'll take out the hose, 7.5 meters of hose. Lots of people say, is 7.5 meters long enough? Guys that use it go, of course it's long enough. You just move this where you want to be. If you have it longer, what happens is it's not as efficient because vacuum is based on the amount of air you can move. If you make the pipe bigger, you can move more air, but then you don't pull as much. So, we're going to take this to bits a little bit. So, 1 clip, 2 clips, 3 clips, and then we'll take the whole top off. In here, this is the coarse filter. And the coarse filter, as you can see, big veins. This is made essentially from cardboard. This is what takes most of the dust out of the air. So this is, if you like to think of it this way, this is the standard vacuum bit. So we'll just put that down to one side. Now what I'm going to do is open up the whole thing for you to see inside. So there's a clip here on the edge, and then we'll just lean it back. Now inside you can see the dust bag. This is an endless dust bag. So this has got 20 meters of bag. If you like to think of it this way, it's a big long sausage skin. When you use this, what you do is, it just fills. Same way as your bag will fill inside your belt sander. But this way you don't get to touch the dust. We all hate emptying dust bags. We want dust everywhere. You've got to put it into a plastic bag, you need to go outside. There's no need to do that. All you do is this. You take the bag, you squeeze the middle. You take ordinary cable tie. Tie the ordinary cable tie around, pull it tight. Take the next cable tie, put it round, pull it tight. Ask for your assistant to give you a pair of scissors. Pair of scissors, cut through, take your bag, drop it in the bin. You don't touch the dust at all. The only thing I would say is this. This holds 70 litres of dust. That weighs a heck of a lot. It's not a good idea to allow this to get absolutely full. It gets really difficult to lift out then. But you shouldn't ever get past that. So, my assistant's going to come and take the scissors off me now. Sorry. Thank you. I'm a little bit anal about this. It's not a bad idea to put 2 cable ties here. Because, as I showed you, the coarse filter, this big one, this takes out the big dust. However, the reason that this is so good is because this has got a HEPA filter, and that is what's underneath here, inside this filter box here. And the HEPA filter makes this a H-rated vacuum. H-rated vacuums are designed to be used with carcinogenous dust. You can use this with asbestos if you had to. So it's a worldwide standard. As far as I'm aware, this is the only system that floor sanders can get that is specifically designed to do this. One more thing I want to show. Turn on its side. Down here is a dial. When we turn this on, you can see that this doesn't move. But as you use it, what happens is this filter starts to get dust in. Then you'll see that this will run into the red. Then you need to clean it. And the way you clean it is this. So if I turn it on, and I'll put my hand over here, you can hear the noise. And then and now the top filter's being cleaned. So you need to do that periodically as you're sanding. Not often, but you just need to listen. You can hear the difference. So, now, we'll turn this back. We'll put the lock on the wheel, plug it back in, and Peter will continue. Would you like me to turn this on for you?
Shortly.
It's going to get slightly noisy, obviously.
As you can see the hose here and the lead. Some have suggested, gee, that's a bit cumbersome, but what many contractors will do is actually Velcro them together. And we all know when sanding floors that the lead is the thing that you're always flicking with your foot or your arm. By having this connected to the hose, it makes it the most obedient lead that you can have. It's a kick of the foot and it's out of the way, both together, so it makes that a very easy way of going about it. So going back to what I was saying a moment ago, for operation, it doesn't need to be low, it just needs to be off centre. We have two switches on the front, we only need to press one, and then away she goes, so to speak. I've only done one run up, one run back. What we've got at the end here is just a piece of flooring which is fashioning the idea of a skirting board. If we're getting close, you can actually see that we're about 25 to 30 mil off the skirt. And that's the way that will be around the entire room. The perimeter of the room means that you're edging so much less. It makes it far more efficient, and again, getting you to the end of the job quicker. The other thing too is thinking about the performance of the dust extractor, the DCS here. There's no dust on my hand. That's how strong and powerful that machine is. What we have here is an oil finish floor. All we have is 50 grit abrasives that have just taken that in one run. Not difficult at all. So I'll just continue on. We speak with a lot of flooring contractors who will have their own way of doing the job, but every single contractor will generally tell you the only way to do the job is their way. And that's fine. That's fine. However, what I will say of this machine in respect of getting the job done quicker, it means that in many instances you are taking out at least one belt sand, possibly two. Some instances you will not need to use the belt sander at all. In some instances you can't use the belt sander. We've just 50 grit, or run a 50 grit over the top of an oil floor. That was flat, so let's assume that it had been sanded with 40 grit. What I'm going to do now is just fit two 60 grit abrasives and two 80 grit abrasives to the Powerdrive, sand it again, and we think it would be pretty much close enough to finish.
With 80 grit.
With two 60s and two 80s.
sand it twice with 260.
What we've done now. What we've done now.
Yeah.
So we'll put those on. So what I put, how I put these together, I've configured it with 260s and 280s opposite one another, not together, opposite. So we've got your 60s, we've got the 80s. As I was saying a moment ago, that each contractor has his own sense of when he's ready to finish the floor. Some will say 100, we're done. Some will say 150, we're done. Some will say I can see scratches, some will say I can't see scratches. But let's see how we go with the two of them together. Now again, by no means take what I've said as an instruction. Do not suggest that Peter said you put 60 and 80 on the floor and then you coat it. Bona's never said that either. Where that information comes from is the anecdotal evidence that's provided by contractors from the US, from Europe, and some of the contractors here in Australia who have done that and feel that is the place they're happy to coat the floor from. So by no means suggesting that that is the way to sand a floor, but it's certainly a position where a lot of guys are prepared to go. Now, show the dust on your hand there, Adrian. So again, something else you've just done is avoided a lot of vacuuming. Another time saver.
Yeah, and the reason actually we've got a little bit more dust, perhaps, and a little bit more scratches. Watch this.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if we did run a belt sander over that, we'd be taking out chatter marks with this machine rather than just sanding the
I could
floor.
see you as you were walking, the whole floor was just bouncing as you were walking.
So you got a 50 and 80.
No, we had 50 grit ceramic on it first,
Yeah.
and we put 280s and 260s.
Okay.
And as I said, you can see that there's still scratches, but it's because the floor's moving. So you can just see here, there's vague marks.
Yeah.
But if this was solid, I don't think you'd see those.
Is that a finished product?
I personally, I'd put the standard plate on it and probably go over it with a 100 or 120. Maybe I'd use a scrad pad with a 120 wing.
Yeah.
But it depends what I'm doing. If I'm putting oil on, maybe I don't want to go too fine, because if you go over 120, you don't get the oil going in. Whereas if I'm putting the finish on, maybe I'll go to 150, because I want the finish to sit up. I don't want to lose it into the surface. I want this floor to pop a little bit. So it's a balancing act. And at this point, say you're going to be putting on stain and you want to get a lot of stain, now's the time you'll be water popping this floor. So why would you sand it any further? Because you want the grain to pop. You want to hold more stain between the grain. So it's a balancing act. It's what you're doing, what your client expects, how much light's on the floor, what kind of light's coming in. There's lots of things to think about.
Yeah.
And as Peter said, what we rely on, every manufacturer does, we rely on our experts, and our experts are you guys. We can help as much as you want, of course we can. But at the end of the day, we don't see every flaw you do. You see every flaw you do. And what's up to you is to phone us up when you think, yeah, I want another opinion. Yeah, they're not going to do the job for me, but speaking to somebody else. Because it can be lonely out there as a contractor. You're a bloke in the middle of nowhere, particularly if you're outback flooring who's 600 k's away. Then, yeah, so that's part of what we do.
That far everything is around the corner anyway.
Yeah. So it's balance. So it's making certain you feel happy. And as I said, talk to us whenever you want to about this kind of stuff.
So to just conclude on the Powerdrive, where we have a system whereby it looked like I was walking slowly behind a machine. I was walking about as fast as I would a belt sander. But what I'm not doing is using that belt sander 3 times and then starting with this machine. This is not about how quickly it does the job, it's how quickly you finish the job. If you eliminate 2 belt sands out of your job, you're invariably going to finish the job sooner. It's as simple as that. That's how this machine makes your job more efficient, gets you off-site, paid, and onto your next job sooner. A couple of things with regards to the DCS, I guess, in summary. It's obviously fitted to this machine, but it's not only made for this machine. I can whip over here and pick up the Bona edge, which is a long nose edger, a 130mm reach with a cog belt system, and again it fits to the DCS like so. I'm not going to start the machine, there's no necessity to do that because we're not talking about that specific machine today, but this DCS will connect to the Bona belt sanders, the other Bona edgers, the dual edger and the combi edger. It'll fit to the other Bona machines, the HD, as well as the 10-inch belt sander. But it'll also fit to your Canterbury. It'll fit to your Hummel, your K&T machines, your Clark machines. That is a very, very good machine. As Adrian expressed before, the rating of the machine, it goes beyond just making things easier for you, not touching of the dust. All that's great. But if you are doing commercial work or getting in a situation where there will be public in your environment, or you might be in a block of units where Unit 3 is being sanded, Unit 2 and 4 are accommodated, there are often issues with dust. Dust is a carcinogen, and a lot of construction companies, union sites, will request that the area is free of all carcinogens. So you're not only using a water-based coating or a non-toxic coating, but you also have to sand the floor in a situation that's not going to create carcinogenic opportunities for other people in the environment. And that's where this machine certainly comes into its own. Dust-free sanding is the next step for most contractors.
Peter, what are the other features of the Flexisand in terms of?
Certainly, we talked about that briefly at the beginning, didn't we? That we're not just talking about the Powerdrive itself, but the machine has the capability of just being a typical 405 mil disc. So you can cut back, intercoat abrasion, certainly suitable with that.
So it's got a plate to swap straight out.
You take that off, you put another one on. It can also be used as a concrete grinder. Now, I want to clarify what that means. It does not mean that you as a flooring contractor will open up tomorrow as a concrete grinding company. It's for people who are installing floors who maybe you're doing direct stick on a regular basis and the slab's not right. This will level the slab. If there's a transition point between the old slab and the new slab on a house, it'll level that area. That's what that's designed for. It's not designed to expose aggregate, but it does save you time of going off to hire something to bring it back. You have the tool and you can use it accordingly. In addition, we can offer wire brushes that attach to the Powerdrive to effectively give you a brushed appearance on flooring. Not your gouged appearance, but your textured grain, particularly with your granite.
Could you use that on a deck with the dome head nails?
Depends on the method of installation there and the gap between the boards. But it's possible, absolutely. It will still affect the dome. In addition to that, I mentioned before the Quattro. The Quattro is very similar to what we see here, but it doesn't have the gears on the power as the Powerdrive does have. So they'll spin independently. They're not as aggressive, but they are also helpful in some of the other applications that this machine is designed for beyond the timber floor sanding industry. So from there, you can attach the Bona scrads with the scrad wing. You can use your screens, use a double-sided disc, use a single-sided disc, but of course you can use that as a 405 cutback machine or prep machine as well. Hence the name Flexisand. So many other applications with it. And we welcome anybody who wants to have a go with this with the Powerdrive on that Adrian's going to refit right now.
So,
Over here.
but you don't recommend using the machine like that with a screen on it, do you? You put the handle back down. Because
Oh, you have to.
that
You have to
is-
because you are going to have that same effect as you would with your Canterbury, your Polyback, or any other rotary
Yeah, I see
sander.
you said before you use
So-
it with it up, but you can't.
Just
Only with the Powerdrive.
Just one tip is, when I'm doing this, the way you should always think about it is this. You should be able to take your hands and put them straight in your pocket. Yeah? Guys traditionally in Australia use their machine up here. It's too high. That's why you have to put your hip in it. If you take it and drop it to here, then it's just much easier. No hip, one-handed, and I'm not working at all. Down takes it left, up takes it right. So there's that. The other thing we've not talked about is this. You know those jobs where, yeah, you've actually finished on the job. I really want to go back. Just put it in the tray of the U. Yeah, you don't need a van. You can do this is 50 kilos, and it very nicely has a handle that pulls out there, and a handle that's there that allows you just to literally bend your knees and lift it straight. Yeah?
Put it in
not-
the gym.
Is that not easy?
Take it to the gym.
Yeah? Such a simple thing.
Yeah.
Yeah? But of course it sounds simple. But don't forget, all the electrics run through there. So it's not actually as simple, it's really well engineered. So isn't that easy? Yeah?
Can you finish that with 100 on the, or at least do half of that with
You can
just
put
100
you
discs,
can.
so we can see the difference?
Well, what you could have done with this is you could have just put 4 60s
Yep.
and then put 2 80s and 200s.
Can you show? Can you?
Yeah, we can do that.
It does perform just as good, like, you know, if it's an old polyurethane floor with that 3 or 4 coats, really.
It's amazing actually.
That's
If you
just
go
cut
over,
as good.
yeah, you go over 2 or 3 times with the 50 grit ceramics,
Yeah.
it rips it. It just goes through it.
Peter,
Push it out. Just-
the question is if you've got a parquetry floor that's a bit uneven, you said over
You know, like a bit of stop and start. You go over the dry glue a few times, and the slab is not good enough, and that kind of nice and
or
flat.
would you still get it with the belt first?
Personally,
I'd still, if something's uneven,
Yeah.
even it.
yeah.
You know, if the floor's not even, if the subfloor's not even, you'd level it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Same again, you use the tools you've got to make it level.
So belt
To
first.
save
please.
yourself time, because look, you could stand over it with this
Yeah.
as long as you like. Belt sander will take that flat very quickly,
Yeah.
but this is going to take those sanding marks from that belt sander out a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So some guys use a combination system.
Yeah.
They might use a belt sander, or they might just go.
Are we going to
depending on
whack
what condition
the-
of the floor.
No,
No weights. So ordinarily, the way you decide the weights is this: coarse papers, both weights; medium papers, one weight; fine papers, no weight. Because you're trying to take the scratches out. If you put a lot of weight on fine papers, you just put scratches back in again. Yeah. So take it out. 1 heavy, 2 medium, 3 nothing. Look at that. Feel that. Feel how smooth it is.
On the edge, yeah.
Yeah.
Use those 50 ceramics.
Yeah. And don't forget, this floor isn't flat. So
No.
just feel
That's
how smooth that is. And look
that's
at
coatable.
yeah, you got a little bit of dust, but not much.
What do you think? Easy? Yeah. Pretty easy to run. Very easy system. And most guys actually find it works better if you actually use it like a belt sander. So you work up and down the floor, not left to right. So it's a different thought process to it.
Yeah.
It's not like a poly bag.
Yeah,
Because you don't need to pass left and right. You literally just work your way up and down the floor. You can go the other way if you want, but a lot of the guys find it cuts better working forward and backwards like a belt sander.
I believe that, but I was just see how we go across
Yeah.
the grain as well.
But you can see that it, control-wise, nice and easy, huh?
Yeah, you can use it anyway, Alberto. You can go across the grain, this way, any direction, any combination.
Given that they are all doing that,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're going that way or that way, they're still doing that across the grain. So
Yeah, it doesn't change the area.
The trick is not to swing it. If
Yeah.
you swing it, then
You'll put marks
you're
in it.
moving too quick and you start to unbalance
Yeah.
the four heads. As long as you're moving in a standard, smooth way, then that doesn't happen. You see, there is actually a socket here. You can run an edger off of this. In theory, you can run the Flexisand off of this. But if you try and run the Flexisand with the Powerdrive on, the pull is too big sometimes. So you'll flip the fuses. But an edger, you can run an edger off of this with this at the same time, no problem.
Okay.
But you need a European.
And then you just put a splitter pipe in the end
Right.
to put two.
This will only run one at a time.
Run one is okay.
And it comes down to the amount of air you can
Yeah,
pull.
okay.
Yeah? What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to actually clean the filter first. So I'm going to turn it on. I'll first of all disconnect the pipe. I'll then turn it on. Put my hand over the intake. You can hear from the sound when the build-up gets to a point that the needle goes into the red.
We've got a couple of videos of some guys who've bought all the
So
time
take
doing
and
that.
expose the top filter, 3 clips, 1, 2, 3. Then you can lift the entire surface off of the top of the machine. You can see here, this is the flap that gets moved
So you guys really care.
when you push the handle down. When you do that, you get the big rush of air, that then shakes the filter. And by shaking the filter, you then knock the dust out of the filter and into the bag. So if you look over the top and down into the bag, you can see where the dust collects round the edge and it falls down into the bag system. It's still not a bad idea though. So every so often, just take the coarse filter. So this gets the big pieces of dust. And just get a soft brush and just give it a little brush through so that you can make certain that the veins don't get blocked. If you run this for too long, then what happens is you start to build dust and just hitting the top cleaning won't drop it out.
Yeah.
So
Once you've been doing something so long.
if you want to bring the camera now and look directly down into the bag, you can see that all of the dust sits at the bottom, and you can see the black elastic pull straps. That holds everything tight, and what you do is you release those pull straps, and then I can take this complete top out with the bag to tie the bag off if we need to, or replace the bag. So if I put this back on again, So put this onto this top, connect there, bring this back over, and it just clips into place. And you can see here's the clip. 1, 2, and the one you can't see, 3. In here is the HEPA filter. H-rated vacuums, they take away 99.96% of all dust. The really fine dust ends up in the HEPA filter. The HEPA filter should be good for at least 1,000 hours of use. The trick though is to make certain you keep this clean so that you reduce the amount of dust that goes into the HEPA filter. If this gets very blocked, the only place that the dust can go is the HEPA filter. Then the other thing that to note is here. So this dial, as we saw earlier, goes into the red when the top filter starts to get full. Underneath it though, you can see, if I remove the power cord, here is an hour meter. So you can keep an eye on how many hours you've run the machine. So if you know that this should do about 1,000 hours, that means you can start thinking when this starts climbing that way, is my machine working as efficiently as it should be? Should I check my HEPA filter? And to check the HEPA filter is easy. You have to take the top off. You can then undo these two, and you can literally just pull the HEPA filter out.
Alright, thanks guys, thanks Pete, thanks Adrian, thanks for coming along, and thanks for watching Third Thursday Training. So next month it's going to be held on the 18th, which we're going to be going over Clicks flooring. So we're going to have all pre-finished boards. We're going to be going over how to obviously install the boards using the Clicks system. So that'll be on the 18th, so make sure you keep tuned in for Third Thursday Training. Thanks guys. Peter here.
I was smiling, I was trying not to make eye contact.
You're doing all right to that point.
I was like, oh,
Now I know why it's going to take an hour and a half.
yeah. So we can go from there, yeah?
Is 8:30 going to be late enough for my flight?
Yeah.